at Angel Island today with our friends Wayne and Karen Edney, and we're going to take a tour of the Odyssey, which is a Bristol Channel Cutter. And this boat was built from a hull and deck by Wayne, and he's going to give us a tour of the deck. So, hi Wayne, how are you?
Hey, good. You want a tour of the best boat in the Angel Island anchorage here?
I do. I think that would be great.
It's a Bristol Channel Cutter, and it's 28 feet on deck. It's a cutter rig, of course, and it was. It came to our house in 1986 as a bare hull. It was launched in 1994, and we've owned it for 22 years. So take a look at the deck here, and I can give you the quick look at the details that make up the Bristol Channel Cutter. Okay, well, of course we've got a bowsprit, so it doesn't have the tallest rig in the world, but it's spread out. The jib's up forward, and the staysail here is the sail in the back. Both of them are self-furling, and
so it's a cutter rig, right?
It's a cutter rig. The bowsprit back ends here in these two bits here, Samson posts. Good place to tie off. Those things go all the way down to the hull, so they're really strong.
I noticed the BCC on the top of those. That's for Bristol Channel Cutter.
Yep, and that's end grain, of course. So you want to make sure that is not exposed to moisture.
So Wayne, how many hours do you think it took you to finish the boat?
It took 7 years, but then that's more financial necessity than actual hours. You could probably put one of these together in 18 months if you were working full-time on it. So over the years, we've added a lot of things to it. This deck prism puts a lot of light down below, and it's up forward where you're not likely to crack your head on it. The bottom of that is like a juicer, and it diffuses the light throughout the forward area of the boat. And of course the windlass here, chain goes down, half of it's right below, half of it is stowed further back in the center of the boat to distribute the weight. This originally had a Dorade vent when I built it, and we put this little solar vent in here to just ventilate the head area down below. Of course, the shore power cord. We can take a look further back and see what we've got going back here.
Now, I noticed that you have bulwarks, right?
Yeah, these are called bulwarks, and makes the boat feel a little secure. It's also a traditional kind of look. Each one of these posts has a 1/2-inch rod going through the hull to deck joint, so strengthens the hull to deck joint as well.
And you have to paint that.
Well, originally we had it, we tried oil. We've got Cetol now on the top, and then this covering board and the bulwarks are painted. I don't know, it just makes a different look than it did before when it was all Cetol.
Now, I noticed that you have a very large forward hatch here.
Right, and that hatch opens, of course, and allows you to ventilate the forward part of the boat. It's also a way to send sail bags and equipment that's stored up forward.
And I'm seeing some chocks on the deck here.
Yeah, there's a dinghy that sits on these chocks and goes up, and the bow sits between the Samson posts. And then these lockers back here are where the let's take a look inside. Are where the propane tanks are stored. So if the propane should leak, of course, it just leaks overboard and doesn't blow your boat up. And there's a spare tank in the other locker there as well. The advantage of this locker is an excellent place to sit and kick back and just watch the water go by.
Nice.
Yep.
And tell me about the setup on your rigging here. So what have you got going on the mast?
Well, there's these winches. This one is the staysail, and this one's the jib. It's the halyard for each of those, and then on the starboard side is the winch for the mainsail. And then this pole's on here, so if you want to go downwind, you can pull this baby out, and it slides down the track, and the pole goes out and holds the jib or reacher or whatever downwind sail you're using, holds it in place.
And you've got radar dome on the mast.
Yeah, there's radar down below.
And
San Francisco.
And I'm seeing some mast steps here. One of them is open.
Yeah, that one was just left open. Sometimes this halyard will flop around like that and bang. So to keep it from doing that, I sometimes leave it open, especially when it's at the dock. It just adds a little more tension, keeps it from flopping. But those mast steps are nice. Ours only go up to the first set of spreaders, and it's nice to get up that far. It could be nice to have them all the way to the top. My wife isn't always so keen on pulling me all the way up to the top, and to tell you the truth, I hold on pretty tightly when I go up there, and she's at the other end of this winch.
So now I see a lot of wooden hatches and a lot of wood going on. So what was the hardest thing to finish on the exterior of the boat?
Well, probably the bulwarks were a lot of work. I actually started with this skylight hatch, and it's the first piece of woodworking that I did, and this is version number 2. Number 1 had some issues, and I decided to redo it, and it's held up for 20 plus years, so that's good. Behind it there's a little turtle hatch, and there's these solar panels on here. These are getting pretty old, but they're still putting out lots of free electricity right now, keeping the batteries charged.
So did you have prior woodworking experiences before you started to build this boat?
Yeah, but it's partly a matter of desire more than woodworking. Experience is important, but you can learn that if you have the desire. You got the desire, there's people around that'll show you how to do things. It's basically built with a table saw, a band saw, and a lot of belt sanders. Sometimes I wonder if you can't make every piece of furniture with a belt sander if you just stick with it long enough.
Now this boat is a Lyle Hess design.
Yeah.
And it's similar to the boats that Lynn and Larry Pardee sailed.
Right, it's a fiberglass version of Taliesin.
Taliesin,
and
okay.
There's about 121 of these that were produced in Costa Mesa at the Sam Morris Company. And there was a Canadian builder who put out a few in the 70s as well.
And now the boats are being built by Cape George
and Port Townsend, Washington.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
He's got the mold, and he's working on either the first or second one for somebody.
Nice.
Yeah.
So where have you taken the boat?
It's been to Mexico in 2001. We went to Mexico and spent 6 months down there, and it's a great little boat for 2 people when it's cool. When you're in Mexico, we had our son and our niece with us, so there were 4 people on board. So now that we're looking at the exterior, at the deck, with 4 people on board, there's like more space, since if it's tropical. If it's warm, you can live outside. If it's cold and 4 people are stuck down below, it could be kind of tight. But for a couple, it's good. We've enjoyed it.
So do you want to tell us about the Dodger?
Yep. Let's walk back here.
We have a wake going through a yellow cove here at Angel Island, so
it's moving around a bit.
It's moving around.
So this Dodger was actually built by a company. It's hard on top, fiberglass on top, and then the panels are Sunbrella. The advantage of this is that most of the sun beats down on the top. That's where the wear occurs first. I actually replaced the original canvas and glass in this probably 2 years ago.
And you did that yourself?
Yeah. So all these panels slide off, and I just used the old ones as a pattern for these. And the stitching isn't perfect in every place, but it's one of those things like when I built the boat. If you really have a desire to get it done, you can figure it out, and there's some satisfaction in doing it yourself and getting the project completed, knowing that you can do it. So if I had to do it again, which I probably will at some point, I'll do it even better than I did the first time.
Nice. So now we're heading back to the cockpit. I see you got some nice handholds here.
Yep.
And I'm looking at some boom gallows.
Yep, this is the boom gallows supporting the boom. This little piece of canvas and plastic here is kind of an invention. The Dodger sometimes creates a back eddy so that when you're motoring, the diesel fumes will come up into the boat. And on one of our Delta trips, we discovered that just having this little bit of blocking panel here stops that back eddy and just destroys any diesel smell. So when we motor places, I put that up, and I put a little glass in there so we can see. It's kind of like the Odyssey's invention to solve the diesel smell problem.
So have you done anything different with the cockpit?
Well, let's see. The cockpit is it's got the control panel, it's got a bilge pump. These little plastic guys, well, they're not plastic, they're Delron or some sort of material that actually holds up with the UV. I built a cockpit table that actually slides into those supports and then sits right here. So if you're at anchor, you can enjoy a little table space.
That's nice.
Trying to make it as civilized as we can.
Now I'm noticing that self-steering vane back here on the bumpkin.
Yep, that's a monitor. It's missing the wind vane. The vane itself is up above, but when the vane is on, you turn it into the wind, and if the boat moves off the wind, the vane gets pushed over, and that turns a paddle, which provides power to steer the tiller.
So that's a servo pendulum type monitor.
So if you look over at hooking on to the tiller, and then as that thing moves, it steers the boat. So there's another line on the other side, and it's going to go in there and pull, and then as the pendulum in the water moves, it steers the boat.
How well does it work?
Real well. You have to have the sails balanced so that the boat has a chance of doing what it's supposed to do. But you keep the sails balanced, it works great. And a lot of people have used it in round the world races. So it's a nice self-steering mechanism.
And is that the only form of self-steering that you carry?
Yeah, there's a autopilot that plugs in here and then hooks on to these pins here. There's actually 2 pins and 2 holes because I actually have an old autopilot and a newer autopilot. When we went to Mexico, we only had the single autopilot, but I actually had a reserve pin, and one of the pins actually just fatigued right there. That was one of the problems that we had. It wasn't, the electronics never broke down, it was just the physical nature of that pin. So now there's 2, so there's a backup.
So show me the instrumentation that you have on the boat.
Okay, well, not all of it's up, but we can pop this guy. This is that's the autopilot control, and then behind here is Raymarine wind and wind angle, speed, and then there's a knot meter, and there's a what's the other one? Oh, the knot meter and the speed through the water. So wind speed, speed through the water, and knot meter.
One of those is a depth sounder, right?
Oh, and depth sounder, yeah. Thanks.
They're multi-purpose displays.
Yeah. So it's pretty simple stuff. It's not. I mean, I guess this boat has a bit of technology on it, but not that much technology on it.
And over here you have a compass on the bulkhead.
There's a basic compass, so that that doesn't require any electricity. It just requires the magnetic field. So there it is.
And do you carry a chart plotter as well?
Oh, there's a mount here for a chart plotter. Chart plotter is down below. It's mounted on the navigation station.
So it's a removable unit?
Yep, you can bring it up and
what's
plug it in there.
What's the manufacturer on it?
I think that one's a Garmin. I know it's a Garmin.
And I'm seeing right here,
That's
hull
our
number 81,
81.
Bristol Channel Cutter, Sam L. Morris Company.
Yep.
And anything unusual about the companionway, or is that pretty much standard for the Bristol Channel
That's
Cutters?
pretty much standard. Some of the Bristol Channel Cutters have less framing around the companionway, but it's pretty standard. So there you go.
Yeah, there's
Here's another really nice little feature. I added a little hockey putt LED there, and I've got this little fob, and so when we approach the boat at night, you get within about 100 feet, and you punch it, and there it goes. It lights up. So we can light up our cockpit before we get on, and you know, if you were coming up to the boat at night on an inflatable, you can pop that thing on. It just kind of gives a.
And the view through the Dodger looks like you got 360-degree view. There's no real blockage there. It's nice. Have you single-handed the boat?
Well, in the bay, that's about it. I've never single-handed it anywhere far. You know, even going to Mexico, 2 people. You know, one person needs to be sleeping, the other person needs to be on watch at all times, and it gets tough. At 3 people is really kind of an ideal situation because you can set up a rotation and, you know, be on for 8 hours and off for the rest of the time. So.
And what's the auxiliary on the boat? What do you have?
It's a Yanmar, 3-cylinder Yanmar, and we can take a look at that when we go down below and see what it looks like.
Okay, how many hours do you have on it?
1,600.
And
which I don't think is a huge amount.
And that's 1,600 after how many years?
22.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's not even 100 hours a year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which, and you know, I like to use the engine. I think that's what keeps it alive. So we'll see how long it lasts.
Okay. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing the interior.
Okay, we'll head on down.
Okay.
Okay, so let's shove her open. Take out the drop boards and put those down below. And let me go down first and get those out of the way.
Do you have a special place to store them?
Well, the quarter berth. It'd be nice if I had a dedicated spot, but it's just, you'll see when you come down, they're in the quarter berth. If somebody was sleeping there, then the stuff wouldn't be able to live there. All right, come on down.
So I'm noticing here, I'm sitting in the companionway actually with my feet on the stairs. This is a very nice position in nasty weather to be sailing under. We've got the Dodger for protection. You can see everything. All right, so we're down below on the Odyssey, and Wayne's going to give us a quick tour here.
Yep, here's where I was storing those drop boards. This is actually the quarter berth, and somebody could sleep in. Well, some people have slept here. I've slept in here, and it's actually a very comfortable place to sleep because you're locked in. And in my Mexico Odyssey video, you can see we're having a little contest to see who can wiggle in there the quickest. Right now, and most of the time when we're using the boat and we're not going someplace, this is a storage area. So there's an ice box that we brought from home in here and some jackets, but it's a catch-all kind of spot as well.
Yeah, it looks like you got some nice storage back there.
Yeah, there's some speakers that we put out on the deck when we're going to be on board for a while.
The detail work on the wood is really impressive, Wayne.
Yeah, one piece at a time, you know, one piece at a time. You can hardly believe you put it together, but you can remember doing each little piece.
And then right next to the quarter berth, I see a hanging locker.
Yeah, it's sort of it's supposed to be a wet locker. It's kind of small for a wet locker. It's actually where I'm storing the winch handles and miscellaneous stuff that needs to be brought up on deck. The engine also has an anti-siphon device that that lives in the corner. So when you turn the engine off, it doesn't continue to siphon water into it.
And then I'm seeing a bronze plaque here.
Oh, I put the plaque on there to commemorate me building her and getting it done in 1994, so I can remember how long it's been there.
And remind me again when you took delivery of the hull?
1986, so about 7 or 8 years. But you know, it's a work in progress. There's still things being done and being added.
Now what's this? You have a...
Oh, there. Here, let me pull it out. You don't want to turn that sideways. So when you go cruising, you got to have a boat card so that people know, you know, who you are, and they can remember you from one anchorage to the next. So Karen and I put this little boat card together.
Nice.
Picture of the boat sailing off in San Francisco Bay by Red Rock.
And then that's a handheld wind.
Yeah, that's been on there for a while, and you know, the little ball goes up as the wind blows. It's just I think I had that at home, and I decided it might be something nice to put on the boat.
And then I'm seeing that, I assume that's your radar?
That's the radar. The radar used to live down here above the chart table and would be pulled out, and it'd be right here. When we went to Mexico, there was a couple of times, well, we went down the coast of California where I needed to see the radar, and it wasn't really visible from the cockpit, so you had to always come down here to be watching. So it was almost a two-person operation. So I recently moved it so it's up here, and now it'll swing around, and then you can watch what's going on from the cockpit as well.
Looks like a pretty special mount. Was it hard to find that mount?
No, the black mount itself is pretty easily available. Connecting it to the radar took a little bit of work with plexiglass and stuff.
Nice. All right.
All right. So back behind here.
Looks like we got a handheld VHF.
Yep, the handheld VHF is there. The food basket is also living behind the stairwell as well.
Are those for snacks?
Yeah, snacks underway, and then all the controls for the electronics on board is right there. And actually, this is pretty cool. You can see that we have 14.1 volts in the battery bank, and that's from motoring over here, but it's also from the solar panels are putting out power right now as well.
And you did all the electrical on the boat as well.
Yeah, I did the electrical, and so far so good. 22 years, it's still working just fine. And so we can put put the snack back, and here comes visitors on board.
Here comes trouble.
Trouble's here.
No butt shots. No butt shots. That's right.
All right, there's where the silverware is stored in there.
Oh, so was that a standard feature in the boats? Open that again.
I don't know. I'm not sure if this where Sam Morris was building them and putting them in there, but I put the little tray in there and
that's nice.
Built it.
That's a nice idea.
Yeah, and then the dishes and stuff are back there. That was kind of my idea. He was putting the dishes in a compartment right here, but it was taking up counter space. So instead of having the dishes sit here, we've got a locker with all the pots and pans.
Oh, that's very nice.
Miscellaneous stuff.
Yeah, the way you got the paper towels.
Paper towels
really
up there.
Nice.
Yeah, sometimes it's nice and sometimes it's in the way. But
now I'm seeing some instruments here.
Oh, right. This is the propane monitor. So when you want the propane to be turned on, you press that. It turns on the solenoid in that deck box. That turns it off. And so you want to make sure it's off so that you don't blow the boat up. And this is our little 2-burner stove with an oven in it. It of course is able to gimbal so that when you're underway, it's able to stay upright, and so the things that you're cooking or boiling on there stay in the pot.
Of course, it's a monohull, so it doesn't heel, right? Oh, I got that wrong.
Oh, that's a catamaran.
Your
catamaran that doesn't heel. That's when the monohull heels. And then there's a sink it's not double, it's just a deep sink. So you can
And is that storage behind there?
That's storage behind there for food, and there's storage for food back behind here as well, and cooking stuff.
And then what do you do for garbage?
Garbage is down here.
Nice. I see some foot pumps. You got fresh and saltwater foot pumps.
There's a fresh water and a saltwater pump. The saltwater pump is turned off right now.
Okay.
So it's feeding off of the engine
Intake.
Okay.
So
All
now,
right.
tell me, so now we're coming into kind of the main salon, and we've got a berth here to starboard.
Right. There's a berth here, and of course there's storage underneath there. Tools are.
Looks like you got a leak cloth set up.
Oh, there is a leak cloth there. Yeah. So when
Yeah.
you're sleeping in here, there's some bungees that'll come up to the ceiling here
Yeah.
and hook in, and then you don't roll out, and it makes the narrow berth feel a lot more secure.
A nice bookshelf.
Bookshelf.
And you got
We
lights.
got 2 guard dogs on here ready to bite anybody who comes in who's not authorized, and then
Now I'm seeing some additional instrumentation. It looks like
Yeah.
your propane tank.
right. Well, this is a propane heater here, so it's got a separate sniffer down under here for detecting propane. And when you want the heater to come on, you got to do the same thing, which is push the button to activate the solenoid for the heater.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
And I
What
see you
else?
got some nice tile work there around the heater.
Yeah, just to keep the heat. We can go up.
Oh, wait, hold
we
on,
can't
hold
go
on.
forward yet? We
Yeah,
gotta look at the port side.
at the port side.
Okay.
And the main salon table.
Okay, main salon table, and this table is able to come up like this, and there's a leg that pops down, holds that up, and there's a bolt right here that comes in and
So it's
secures
nice
it
and
there.
solid.
So it's actually a nice big table to.
And you can seat maybe 6.
Well, 4 for sure, maybe
Yeah.
6, maybe 5 or 6, but.
Now is that
Pretty much
kind of standard for the BCCs, or did you do this differently?
Yeah, this is standard, except when Sam Morris was doing it, he had a stainless steel leg that came up to here, and so this wasn't supported. It works fine, but I decided to put the pole all the way to the ceiling just because it's something to grab a hold of as you go by.
Yeah, it's a nice grab.
Yeah, it's a nice place.
And then
This area here is actually a double, so you could use it as a single underweight, but you can pull this up, and then this section up here slides open, and then the cushion from here comes up, so this comes all the way to the table. And in the world of land people, that would be known as a twin bed. In the boating world, Karen and I sleep in there, and it's a double. And it's a nice double if you like to sleep really close to your wife.
So who sleeps against the hull and who sleeps on the?
I sleep against the hull, and
Okay.
she's on the outside. She thinks it's a little bit claustrophobic in there.
Okay.
But once I close my eyes, I don't think it's claustrophobic at all. And it keeps me young doing yoga, kind of climbing over onto her, and then to use the restroom at night. So it's all good.
And then I'm seeing a TV down here.
Oh, TV, yeah. We didn't have a TV when we went to Mexico, but now we bought. Now we're in the world of flat screen TVs, and that TV actually has a DVD player on the side of it as well.
And very nice and sturdy port lights.
Yeah, the port lights are.
And you have kerosene lamps as well.
Yeah, we put that on just because it was a traditional boat, and it's nice sometimes, but we don't always use them. Look, here's a foot right here. See that right there? Well, the crew's out there waiting for us to get underway to exit Angel Island. But let's finish the tour.
And
here.
now I'm seeing some a
That's
barometer.
The barometer, and look over here. There's a chronometer here.
Where?
Oh, it's missing.
Let me see where.
Right here, right here.
I see a spot,
After 22 years, well, actually, it was my fault. I didn't change the battery in time, so the battery corroded, and it went to Weems and Plath. It's on the UPS truck now, coming back after it's been repaired.
And then I see your beautiful hatch work here.
Yeah, there's the skylight. Look, there's even now the hand is up there. Well, those people out on deck are all over the place.
Yeah, they're getting their fingerprints everywhere.
All right, well, let's go forward and we'll see what we've got up here.
Okay, so now most boats, when you go forward, you don't have to duck here, but this is
there's a
lower.
bridge deck there because
It's a bridge deck.
Yep. And then there's the the forward hatch there. here's that
Oh yeah, I see.
prism.
Tremendous amount of
Yeah,
light coming out of that.
this whole
It's very
thing is lit
nice.
up. I mean, if that wasn't there, it'd be dark up here basically. So the chain is underneath these life jackets here, and
I see it
that
coming
chain
down.
locker opens up. The chain eventually can find its way back into this area under here. Let me turn the light on there. And so half the chain is stored under there just to get it further
Yeah, I can
further
see
back.
it. I can see it through the
Yeah.
slats in the floor.
Yeah, and of course there's storage for our
It
clothes
looks
on
like
the
you got the
starboard
hanging
side.
locker behind the door here.
Yeah, there's a hanging locker that's been also converted to a shelf as well. So it's basically clothing and locker space there.
And what's going on here on the port side?
Well, when I built the boat, this was an extra berth, but now it's become. Let me turn that off. It's become just a storage area.
So this boat actually has could sleep 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people.
It could sleep 5 people if
Yeah.
you were. As it turned out, my son, my daughter, my wife, nobody wanted to sleep up here because where I'm sitting underneath here is
The head.
the head. And so they go, "Oh my God, Dad, we can't sleep in the bathroom next to the toilet." So they, it's fine. I'd rather have it as storage. But the head's a skipper. The skipper's got a 4-inch hole pump in the bottom of it, and so because it's got so much force behind it, it's got this handle that sticks up. The Sam Morris ones with more traditional heads didn't have the handle sticking up.
So
And-
I'm seeing a lot of valves and hoses there.
Yeah, I get
It
a
looks-
lot of grief.
It
Okay,
looks a little bit like a Rube Goldbarb system.
No, it's evolved. It's evolved over time. So look, there's a seacock here that would let salt water come in, and for many years we that's all we did. We let salt water come in. You depress the little foot pedal down here at the bottom, and that allows the boat to flush itself with salt water. But then we had issues with, the salt water would also get in the exit hoses. It's like a 2-inch hose that the waste exits, and the salt water would crystallize in there. And then it would create odors, and Karen's going, "The boat stinks." And then I finally realized the salt water was the culprit. So I've got a 5-gallon jerry can up there, and this is just when we're at the dock, but we're, at the boat for the weekend. We want to put water in. I open up this valve, and that allows fresh water from that jerry can to go in. So basically, while we're at the marina, when we decide to use the toilet, which you really only use for urine, it goes into the holding tank up here, but it's all fresh water. So I don't have the issue with the salt water creating crystals in the hoses, which creates the odor.
Yeah, I've had that on my own boat where you literally had to take the hoses off and beat them with a hammer.
You have to replace
to,
it every couple of years.
Yeah, to get all the crystallization out of it
Right,
from the urine and the salt water.
right. So the waste is going up here into maybe you can take a shot. Is going up into the holding tank,
Got it.
and it's 13 gallons. It's for city use basically when we're in the
And I
bay.
see those 2 big posts, the Samson
Oh yeah,
posts.
right.
Yeah.
There's the Samson posts.
Those are massive
coming down.
beams. Yeah.
Yep, and they're tied into a bulkhead up there, and then they go down to touch the hull itself. So.
I'm seeing some oars over here. Is this for your dinghy?
Oh yeah, the dinghy oars are living up here. Here's the antenna for the TV, but
There's your
there's
wind
the
vane.
wind vane, the
Sails,
monitor.
yeah,
It's got a
the one.
light wind one, and it's got a thin plywood one for heavier.
Yeah.
Heavier.
Quite a bit of storage up here.
Yeah, there's room for a lot of stuff up here.
Yeah.
Maybe too much.
And then I
stuff.
see a pipe off the port side up there.
Yeah. That's the pipe. It's covering a plastic hose. That is the pump out for the holding tank.
Got it.
So when
Okay.
you want to pump the holding tank, there's a deck fitting up there, which we didn't mention when
Okay.
we were up above, but that's what that's doing.
And again, it's absolutely beautiful woodwork. What type of wood is this?
This is teak. Yeah, the interior is all teak.
It's very red.
Yeah.
Is that just
It's
from
oiled.
stain, or?
Yeah, it's just oiled.
Yeah, because it doesn't look like teak. It looks almost like a mahogany.
Yeah, no.
Is
it's
this
oiled.
are the cabinets all
Everything
teak?
is teak, yeah.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah. You know, the price of this teak wood now is $20 a square foot, whereas when I was building the boat, it was like $6 a square foot. So we have a real value here.
All right.
I can't
Well,
believe they get $30 for the T-shirt though.
so that's the grand tour of the Odyssey, and we're gonna head out now.
Yeah, we're going to get underway and head
Gonna
back
get
to the
underway
marina,
and
so
head back to Richmond.
we'll see if we can get out of this dock or not.
Okay, we just sailed back from Angel Island, and we're in Richmond now, and Wayne is putting away his lazy jacks and reefing lines. I thought it'd be worthwhile to see how he's got his lazy jack set up.
All right, let me finish this guy.
So the Odyssey's got 3 reefing lines, and Wayne has just squared those away now, and he's got lazy jacks. Let's see if we can see them. And Wayne's going to show us how he puts the lazy jacks away.
Okay, the lazy jacks are to hold the sail in place, so when you drop it before you get the ties on, they're not falling off of the boom. And so then some boats leave these up and have cuts in the mainsail cover, but these are made to come apart, and then there's kind of a neat little spider web effect up there. And so if I clip this through there and then work them all back, they can actually lie along the boom and then just get hooked right there, and they're away. And I'll do the same thing on the other side, so you know they're not going to be in the way when the sail cover comes on.
Oh, that's nice. So while we're up here, Wayne, you want to tell us about the windlass? I think we missed the windlass a little bit when we were doing a tour.
Well,
so is that an electric windlass?
Nope, it's a manual. Let me go back and get the handle for it.
All right. All right.
All right, so this handle is stored back there in the lazarette. And to lower the chain, there's a clutch mechanism in here, and all we need to do to lower it is to loosen that nut. And you see that'll let the gypsy then run free, and the chain would go down. There we go. Chain would run down. Then to bring it back up, we need to tighten this nut and give it a little pressure there, and then the handle just goes in here, and the chain comes back up. There's a little one-way
little ratchet
there that keeps it. And so you crank.
And you've got all chain rode?
Yeah, it's all chain rode. There is, of course, a place where you can put a rope on. This is kind of a necessary thing that you need to have for a boat with a bowsprit. So when the chain comes down, the bobstay rubs against the chain as the boat maybe moves back and forth at anchor. And this line right here has it's just a way of attaching. So what I would do is hook this to the chain, and then the last 10 feet of the chain, the tension would be on the line rather than on the chain. And that, of course, is going to that block at the end of the bowsprit.
And I noticed you've got double rollers on the bowsprit, but only one anchor up there now.
Yeah, there's another anchor in the lazarette.
And you have...
And once upon a time we set 2 in Mexico just because the holding wasn't so great, so we put them out like at a 45-degree angle.
And that's a how many pounds CQR?
I think that one is 45, and I have a 25 back in the lazarette.
All right. And how hard is it to use the manual windlass? Do you wish that at times that you had an electric windlass, or is the manual okay?
Fine. It's probably 5 to 6 inches for every crank back and forth. So
you use it pretty much to break,
takes a while.
free.
Sometimes when the anchor doesn't set, you kind of go, oh crap, I wish I could pull it up quickly, but it might take 5 minutes to pull up 75 feet of chain.
And is it physically hard, or can you do it?
I can do it as an old guy.
You're not that old, Wayne.
Yeah, so when we went to Mexico, our son was 9th grade, so I tell him this was his PE for the day, was to go up there and crank the windlass and get the chain to come up. So.
All right, and then we missed the engine, so
Okay,
we'll go
let's
back
head
down
back
below.
down.
Okay, we're down below now, and Wayne's going to show us the engine access.
Yep. Okay, so the ladder here unsnaps off the floor and then comes up. Step back here, watch your head. And then it's going to hook up to the ceiling. And then I can pop this door up.
Wow, that's nice
And
access.
there's the engine. Let me turn the light on in there. Take a look. It's a little warm. There we go. So
Wow.
it's a 3-cylinder Yanmar diesel. And you know, when I come back and we're going to, you know, put the boat away, I always make sure I reach over and turn that seacock off. That's the water intake, just in case there should be a problem with the hose and stuff. Fuel tank's in the back there.
How many gallons?
That's 26, which isn't a lot, but it's fine. And I put this insulation all over the place, on the door up here, the side of the hall, just to quiet it down as much as possible, so that, you know, when you're underway and you're in the cockpit, you don't hear it quite as much.
It's very clean in there. You keep it nice and clean.
Yeah, it's nice and clean, and I have gotten some Yanmar paint and painted little nicks and scratches, because they'll all turn to rust marks if you don't do that. So around this thing, see these little screws right here? If you really need to get access to the engine and have complete access to it, you take those screws off on both sides, and this whole panel then comes out. That's how the engine was actually put in there.
And is that the normal engine that you would find in a BCC?
Yep, that's the standard engine. There may have been some earlier ones with Volvos in it, but this is basically it.
23 horsepower?
I think it's 26, but I'm not sure.
And
you
have
forget after a while. I must say on there somewhere, but we can look and see later.
And you have a 3-bladed fixed prop on it.
Yeah, I do have a 3-bladed fixed. We started out with a 2 that I still have, that, you know, you could line up, but you know, when you want to use the engine, if you're a purist and you want to sail the fastest, you put a folding prop on it. If you're a semi-purist, you put the 2-bladed on, which I was for a while, but now, you know, when push comes to shove and I want to push the boat through chop, the 3-bladed is the way to go.
And I see there's a through hole over there. That's for the cockpit drain.
Yeah, there's one on both sides for the
Yeah.
cockpit drain, and then
And you got storage over here.
yeah, there's just storage for oil change stuff.
Uh-huh. Nice.
And of course there's a fuel filter over here, and there's another one on the back, so that if one should get clogged, there's a valve up there on the fuel tank. I can switch from one
And those are the rake horse?
system. Yeah, one's a fairly small one that I started with, and the other one's a little larger one.
And I'm also seeing some detail while we're down here. I see a little outlet there.
Yeah, that's to drain the water out of the refrigerator. There's no refrigeration. There's just an ice box. So when the ice melts, the water shows up there. So let's open that up real quick, and I can show you. Watch your head on the
ladder. Yeah.
This down. Oh, we can do.
Yeah,
We can show you the back of that whiteboard thing too.
we didn't see the ice box earlier, and I'm noticing that there's a.
Let me turn the music down back here.
Yep. I see some nice detail. You've got a nice mount for your binoculars.
Yeah, I guess
Yeah.
that's kind of an iffy thing. Well, let me show you this. One of the things that, you know, Karen rarely uses this, but I think it's pretty cool. I mean, you can bring this up and create a workspace for the galley.
Oh man,
There's a couple of locks across there, so, you know.
that is fantastic. You know, as many times as I've been on your boat, I never noticed
Yeah,
that.
it's kind of hidden there. So the ice box itself
It's underneath the chart table.
is underneath the chart table, and you know, there's a.
It's kind of dark in there. I can't really see down
Let me
in
get
there.
some light down there. There you go.
There you go. Okay.
There you go. So It's basically ice goes down, you know, and you pile the food on top. You know, Karen goes, we should put refrigeration in at some point if we ever go to Mexico again. When we were in Mexico, we filled it with blocks of ice, and there was some beer in there, and the ice would always slosh around. When we got to Cabo, and the beer can was just beat to heck, all dented from the blocks of ice moving around. So, and then we'd have to, of course, go into town and get ice, and then who knows how big the cube would be, or the block would be when we got it back after you walked 3 miles in the sun with the block of ice. So it was always a challenge, but it was also kind of fun too. All right, well, there's the engine and the chart table and the ice box. Okay, here's one more quick thing over here. In changing those instruments out over there, I put this box. The box, let me show you, is just to cover the instruments up. There's a little clip up there. There it goes. So there's the back of the instrument. So the box is just cosmetically to cover those instruments up. And so when I was building it, I thought, oh, maybe we'll just put a whiteboard. So this is whiteboard material. And then, you know, if you need to make a note about tide or something like that, you can write right on that thing.
That's nice. Nice idea.
Yeah.
It's actually very nice to have that on a boat.
Yeah, so you can make little notes to yourself up there.
Yeah, you can put the watch schedule in the menu.
Yeah, the menu can be up there. What we're serving today is up there. So that's
some more details. Wayne's got a custom-built pen holder, pen and pencil holder.
Yeah, big deal.
And I see, that's your Garmin that goes
that's
outside?
That's the little chart plotter, and then
so it can be mounted here.
Right. So we can pull this off and just walk outside and mount. It's got the same mount as what's outside. So.
And the GPS antenna is built into that?
Yes.
And can that be tied into your Ray marine instruments as well?
It can.
And the
Although
autopilot?
I need my techie son to be able to do that. Otherwise, it's just like, okay.
And there's your radios.
Yeah, the VHF.
Yeah.
There it is.
And then you have a second.
And this is a secondary. This is the GPS that I originally had. Actually, the original GPS that I used was this little guy. Little handheld guy. And, you know, I've revived him a couple of times. I thought he was dead when the batteries leaked, but I managed to bring him back to life. So
well, it's always good to have backups.
He's there as a backup, right?
And where do you typically store your paper charts?
Oh yeah, let's see, the paper charts. We've got all this stuff up here, but there's actually, let me pull it down because it's actually pretty cool. It's out of the way. On the other side of this little mini bulkhead is a drawer that I stuck in here.
I'm not 100% sure we'll be able to see this.
Well, there. Let's see if we can turn the light on. There we go.
Oh, nice.
So this guy drops down, and you know it's full of charts and stuff.
Oh yeah, nice.
Yeah, it's like out of the way storage.
Uh-huh.
So you know, the longer you have a boat, the more you kind of figure out, oh yeah, I can use this space for that and another space for something else. So there's all kinds. That's the kind of the cool thing. You can always add little gadgets here and there.
And what's this little red thing down there?
Oh, that's the sniffer for the propane. So remember when I turned the propane on right there?
Yep.
If there should be gas leaking, that thing senses it and sets off an alarm and turns the propane off.
I think you told me once that your sniffer went bad and you couldn't get the solenoid to work, so you had to put a new sniffer on?
Yeah, right. We've replaced that. The sniffers, I think they're like 4 or 5 years, and
yeah, they
wear out after a while. But it's a good thing, and I haven't had a heck of a lot of problems with the with the electrical solenoid. Some people put on manual valves that they turn off up on the deck somewhere, and I can turn it off up there too.
Yeah.
So
I'm seeing underneath your portals you've got a little drip.
Oh yeah, a little drip thing. Yeah, and that was just in Frank Matei's book. And you know, if there's water in there, so you can see my portholes are getting cataracts.
Yeah, that's
the glass. It's safety glass, so it's actually 2 layers. And over the years, the salt is starting to you know,
Seep
move in between the two. So, you know, one of the maintenance things is to eventually take the ring off inside and pull that out and put new glass in.
Oh, yeah.
But I guess it's a sign that it's a, you know, well-used boat. So we can open these guys up here
And you have screens?
yeah, this
They
extra
fit in
little
here?
stainless steel is for a screen that goes in here.
Oh, nice. Very nice. Very nice, Wayne. Thank you for the great sail today.
All right.
You guys have a good evening.